There we go. Quite there. 20 seconds. Bigfoot, real or not? Discuss amongst yourselves.
Yes.
Call the meeting to order. Roll call has been taken. Would look for a motion to approve the agenda which you have received. Supervisor Wagner, second Augustine. Any discussion on the agenda? All in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Approve of the minutes from the June 14th meeting. Supervisor Poppy. Second, Supervisor Yonke. Any corrections, discussion to the minutes? All in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Public comment. Anybody wish to speak? As I look around, there might be a mouse in the corner somewhere, but
They're all on vacation.
July 5th, I guess we just didn't draw a crowd here tonight, huh? Okay, moving on to administrators report. Mr. Felt.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Enlighten us.
There's not much to enlighten you with. As you see, we have a new person starting and register in probate's office, Janelle Cherney. She will be the secretary. Brent Reamer is moving from the jail dispatch sergeant to what we call kind of the cross-trained person. That is a union position. That has always been the case. But then if there's need for help in the jail, then that person goes back to the jail. They kind of flip-flop between jail and patrol, depending on what is needed. Within the recruitment area, we are looking, we are still double checking, but we believe that Chelsea Broomhall will be the new jail dispatch sergeant. The radio operator jailer, those interviews will continue on. And the seasonal workers for highway is continuing to move forward as well. Otherwise, if there's questions, that's all I have, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Any questions for Mr. Felt? All right. Approve submission of broadband expansion grant application. So for this, I'm going to go back to Mr. Felt and he can explain it more thoroughly.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And actually, I probably did a little bit of a misnomer at this present time. We're not approving any specific submission for broadband expansion grant, but I wanted the committee to be aware since they oversee the IT department. So therefore, anything broadband IT would come to this committee. As you are aware, Governor Evers did announce another $100 million in funding for broadband expansion grants. The grant applications, the deadline is the end of July, I believe July 31st. Bug Tussle has expressed an interest in submitting another application, and that application would finish up what would be phase 2, and phase 2 is putting fiber optic to the towers that are being constructed. So that's again middle mile, and for the committee, that's up to you, but I would recommend approving any type of application that would be coming from Bug Tussle, so that way they can finish up what they had promised to do for the county. But here's another interesting twist. It was just a couple weeks ago that Charter Communications approached the county. The chair and I had an initial meeting, and what you have in front of you, in fact, if you look at the charter map, it looks very similar to the ARPA broadband access grant eligibility map. If you look at where there are white spots on the one, they coincide with the white spots with the charter. What charter is possibly proposing for Kewaunee County is that they would do fiber to the home in any of the unserved areas, which are the green areas. Fiber to the home. Speeds would be up to 1 gigabit up and 500 megabits down. When they say fiber to the home and with the speeds that they're talking about, that is definitely something that caught my attention. They still have not sent us the cost as to install or implement that plan. My one concern that I expressed to them is if you see where those white areas are, they would not be putting fiber to home in those white areas because those would be considered served areas, though we know pretty well that a number of them are not, but they would not get grant money for that. They would be looking for Kewaunee County to partner with them on a broadband expansion grant as well. And if I were to make a initial recommendation to the committee as well, I would recommend that we approve partnering with them as well. They're two, in some ways, in fact, in many ways, they're two different projects. What Bug Tussle does is what's called middle mile. So the fiber that's going to the towers, that's considered middle mile because it doesn't go to the home. What Charter is looking to do is considered last mile, which therefore connects the home itself to the network. And so my feeling is the more providers that want to come into Kewaunee County, the better. The one thing that and Bug Tussle is aware that Charter did approach us. They have been made aware. We thought it was only only right that we make them aware since we have had a strong partnership, and we wanted them to be aware that Charter had approached us. And Bug Tussle, when I had spoke with them, they had said, we're not surprised that another provider could possibly be coming in, and we're okay with that. We're more middle mile, not last mile. The one request that they did ask is that if something were to happen with Charter or any other provider, that the same type of financial deal be the same. In other words, with Bug Tussle, we are not writing any specific check to subsidize their work. Yes, we are providing a loan, but that's being paid back. And so if Charter were to come and do something, then Bug Tussle would ask that we treat Charter the same way that we treat Bug Tussle, which is if they want any type of financial assistance, it would be in the form of a loan and not just a straight check. If there's other questions, or Mr. Chair, if you want to add anything, I'd be open.
Yeah, and it should certainly be noted that Charter, the difference between them and Bug Tussle is Charter certainly suggested and would be very open to us making a contribution that we would commit county finances as well. We certainly did not commit to that in our meeting with them, but be that as it may, they need to get further information to us. And my position would be, I think that the response from Bug Tussle, because we did feel it was the only right thing to be open with Bug Tussle, I do think the request that Bug Tussle made is very reasonable, that we should treat all providers the same. And so we could certainly, if once we get information from Charter, we could certainly make the same kind of proposal to them or similar that we did to Bug Tussle, that we would provide a loan, but not a cash contribution. But the whole thing, if they're able to get that grant approved, would have significant benefits to the county. Obviously, fiber to the home. That would resolve, like Supervisor Wagner, that would resolve his issue, and people like that are, he's not the only one in that situation where even the relationship with Bug Tussle is not easily going to resolve the challenges that they face. So this is certainly intriguing. And when Mr. Felt and I talked with them, we expressed that this is something that we would be very open to considering and bringing before the full board, as if we were able to get something to progress that far. So So we're going to stay on it. It's, I think it has the great potential for the county. And Bug Tussle, yeah, they were very, Steve Schneider has been very, very good about all of this. And, he was, felt that, hey, this could actually benefit Bug Tussle as well as the county. So he was, very, very positive about it. So I don't know if
I guess the question that I have to the committee, because I want to make sure if there's any concerns, I want to just quick talk about the white areas that are on that map, so that way people understand what that is. All of those little lines or blocks that you have within Kewaunee County are called census blocks. So there's a certain amount of people within those blocks. Now, the interesting thing about this, which is not, and I shouldn't say interesting, it's more unfortunate, is so you see where there are white blocks, those are census blocks where at least one person within that census block is receiving service that is 25 megabits up, 3 megabits down. So from the state broadband office and from ARPA and the like, those would be considered served areas, even if a minority of residents are unserved within there. And because it is a served area, it is not eligible for grant dollars. What I did ask Charter to do is I did ask them to get me an estimate as to what would it cost to put fiber to the home in those white areas that are not the city of Algoma, the city of Kewaunee, or the village of Luxembourg. And the main reason why is because if this were to move forward, though, especially those areas in the town of Franklin and the town of Carlton, there may be concern as to why other parts of the county are getting fiber to the home and they are not. Right now, they receive 25.3 from wireless through TDS. That is my understanding. So that is part of the reason why they are not eligible in those white areas to be able to use grant money for those projects. Does everyone understand that part of it? There was also thoughts that, at least from the village of Luxembourg, we know that they are doing their own fiber to the home project with Cellcom or Ensight, which is the parent company. And both the cities of Algoma and Kewaunee do have service right now. In fact, I know Charter is, I believe, in both Kewaunee and Algoma. So they may eventually try to upgrade that service. But what they were talking to us about was trying to bring fiber to the home in those green shaded areas within Kewaunee County.
what was the deadline that this charter has to move on this by? They told us.
Well, I wanted to try to get numbers back even last week. I have not received them yet. But if they're going to use the broadband expansion grant money, they have the exact same deadline that Bug Tussle has, which anyone has, which is the end of July. So they will need to move very quickly. And if that were to move forward, we'll try to get some support letters. I think we've been, and I need to talk to the broadband office in that we've provided a number of support letters over the last 18 months for other projects. I don't know how many times they want to see the same letters from the same people and go, oh, I've never seen these before. So I'm not sure if the support letters are going to have the same impact for later projects than they did initially. I mean, I think that this county, from the various organizations and residents, have absolutely expressed their desire for having increased internet accessibility. Any questions from any of the members? I guess the only reason why, yes, Supervisor Wagner.
Let's, in the event this does move forward, do you have any idea of when fiber would be connected to any home?
Yes, good question, Supervisor Wagner. What they had said to us, Charter, within 3 years. Within 3 years, they would have all of the green done. Now, again, that could be a sales job or otherwise, but we could very easily put something into the contract and therefore have some type of penalty if those deadlines aren't met, unless some type of act of God were to take place. You know, if a COVID type of thing were to reappear or something to that respect, okay, there might be some mitigating circumstances, but if they just overpromised and underdelivered, well, then that's something that we would put into the contract. So to go back, that's part of the reason why I wanted people to be aware, because if you start hearing some of these things, I wanted you to be aware that Charter has approached us. We still haven't seen some of the numbers or what they'd be asking for. But again, from a county standpoint, and ultimately you and the board make the decision, is the more providers that want to come in, the merrier. And the more important part, at least for us, is we're not financially subsidizing anyone that's coming in directly. Yes, we may put out loans, which again, you would have to approve, but ultimately that loan is paid back. And so therefore, from a taxpayer standpoint, in the long run, we're not out any money. In fact, we make a little bit of, we make money. I don't want to say a little bit, we make money. So there's no one that's getting direct financial subsidy for bringing this in.
Any other questions? Supervisor Romden.
Tom,
Your
your
microphone.
mic.
There's a lot of these green areas in the county that obviously don't have fiber just running by in some pipe someplace. Is Charter going to be putting this stuff in so they can access it?
That's what my guess is. They would be doing a couple of different things. One, they could do it where they provide all of it, middle and last mile, or they could be identifying other providers who may have middle mile, like Cellcom, Insight, or Bug Tussle. In fact, one of the reasons why Bug Tussle is not opposed to Charter coming in, one is because they always thought something like this may happen anyways, and two, because they're providing the middle. They could provide the middle mile to Charter, where Charter could use what they've already put down, which saves Charter some money, and Charter then can use those resources to focus on the last mile. So if it's not there, Charter's saying they put it in.
Okay, any other questions? All right, we'll keep working at it, and if it develops into something fantastic, if it doesn't, we still have things moving forward with Bug Tussle. So
If I may, Mr. Chair, yes, we will be having a July county board meeting, and this is where the Bug Tussle and the possibly the Charter application, we may not have them as a whole typed out as a draft, but we may be asking for resolutions from the board for each of those supporting those applications. So I wanted to give that as a heads up as well, that if they are going to move forward, those applications do need a resolution of approval from the partner, which is us, the county board. So you may have one or possibly two applications for consideration for approval.
all right,
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
very good. Resolution to rescind emergency orders.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The last four sheets. The first one is just basically the resolution rescinding the public health emergency. If you remember, it was back over a year ago, March 17th of 2020, that we declared a local public emergency. And with that, there were certain orders that were signed by then Chairman Widener and myself regarding certain actions, whether that had to do with sick days or the like. And some of those resolutions have been attached just so you have them. There were 4 different emergency orders. Now with the vaccine that has been distributed and is available, and with life getting back to, for the most part, normal, I do not see any reason that we need to stay under a public health emergency. A number of other counties and cities are doing the same thing. So I thought that at the July meeting, we would just rescind that public emergency. There's no reason anymore from a federal standpoint that we need to be in one from a grant eligibility standpoint. So don't get me wrong, because of all the power I've amassed from this, there's no reason for there to be a public emergency anymore.
I forgot we still had them.
My point exactly. And if that's the case, then there's no reason for it to have them anymore.
Do we need a motion on that tonight? Or
Yes, please.
And can we take, Kroll, can we take it all at once, all of the all of the
Oh,
orders?
it's just the one.
Oh, just
The others were from previous that had been signed and approved. So the only one that you're doing is the resolution rescinding the public health emergency, the first one. I was just adding the other ones just for history.
Motion by Supervisor Kroll, second by Haskey. Any further discussion on this? Anybody want to see the order still remain in effect or, okay. All in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All right, chairman's report. This time of the year, try to get to more committee meetings than normal. See all of the workings of the various committees, and good to see everybody, diligently going about their duties. Committees all seem to be functioning very well. Makes my life a little bit better. Although, the report on the highway committee, I should have looked closer because if I had looked closer before I got there, I would have been on time because I would have realized the bridge was out. Not had to take the detour. Yeah. But then Augustine didn't show up at all. He was going to come in later than me and make my lateness not noticed. All right, next meeting.
Oh,
Yes.
Chair, maybe you want to talk. About
Oh, yeah, Venture Architects. We do have a jail study subcommittee coming up on Monday. And we did have just as an update on all of this, we did have a very positive meeting with John Kane, and also the representative from Samuel's group was there. And he is willing, and that meeting will take place on Monday the 19th. That meeting will take place, sorry, not this coming Monday, following, with Venture Architects and the representative from Samuel's group. And he is willing to work with us. Basically, how I would describe it is a phase 2 point. It was called a 2+. I would call it a phase 2 1/4, phase 2.25 or something like that. So we will be paying him for his time and materials. It would be, the money that would be spent, and it was approved by Finance Committee, up to $19,500. That would be money that would roll over into phase 3 should something come out of this that is able to go to the full board with some reasonable degree of success. So we are still working on it. We also do have tomorrow, John will be there at the jail giving a full introduction to the contractor to try to get some information on the repairs that need to be made to the current jail. So we are moving ahead on 2 fronts. And that is, continuing to work with the architect and see what we might do new project wise. And we are also getting the information that some supervisors had wanted regarding pricing. So we are working on it. All right, next meeting would be scheduled for August 2nd, right? Does that work? Anyone not work for?
Supervisor.
Yes. Supervisor Kroll, it does not work for? Yes, it does work, or no, it does not? Yes, it won't work. Okay. So yes, it won't work. Okay, and so no, it won't work. Could we go to August 9th? Would that work for folks? No, that does not work for Supervisor Romden. Would And that's on, let's see, August 6th, we have finance. John will have that done by 9 AM, correct? That won't work, okay?
We'll shoot for the second.
How about 7 AM on that Friday, August 6th? Oh, okay. Okay. Well, let's go with August 2nd. And, you know, there is the possibility that depending on the agenda, I suppose it's possible we wouldn't have that meeting or probably.
I can check. I don't see anything big coming up, but we can find out.
But as you say, not everybody makes it. We will miss you. All right, I need a motion for that. Supervisor Wagner, second by Kroll, even though she won't make it. Very kind of you. All in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
All right.
All right, motion to adjourn. Okay, Poppy, second by Wagner. All in favor?
All right.
Opposed? Motion adjourned.
6:25.
20th, oh, 17th, no, I'm sorry, 20th. July 20.
Tim does.